Hospitality Meets is brought to you by RotaCloud, the simple workforce management software for hospitality teams. RotaCloud lets you create and share rotas, record attendance, and manage your team's annual leave, all in less time than it takes to make a brew. It can also make life easier for your staff, allowing them to check their rotas, request holiday, and even pick up extra shifts, all through the RotaCloud mobile app. Start your 30-day free trial today by visiting rotacloud.com/Phil and find out how much easier managing your team can be. Welcome to Hospitality Meets with me, Phil Street, where each week we take a light-hearted look into the stories and individuals that make up the wonderful world of hospitality. Today's guest is John Herity, Club Operations Manager at the Caledonian Club in London. Coming up on today's show, John starts playing golf.
I'm just going to hit my 9-iron down there.
Phil cracks a Scottish joke.
Yeah, how's your soncy face?
Huh? That's fair.
And John sets out his committee aspirations.
We don't have a committee for wine. We don't have a committee for sandwiches.
All that and so much more as John chats us through his epic journey so far. John has stories all the way through our chat, and his journey is an absolute lesson in the power of principle. As a result, there's definitely something for everyone in here. So please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a like and a share wherever you can. Enjoy!
And a huge Hospitality Meets welcome to John Herity.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm alright. Is it still morning?
Yes, yeah. Just the sunshine.
5 o'clock somewhere though.
Oh yeah. Not in here.
No, not in here. Coffee only at the moment, coffee only. But how's life?
Yeah, good. Busy, really busy.
That's great to hear.
I was very fortunate at Caledonian Club, being a Scottish institution in London, that we have burns season at the start of the year. So when a lot of other hospitality places are quiet, we're stupidly busy.
Right.
So right from the 9th of January to the 12th, 13th of February this year, we've been hosting bun suppers just about every night.
Fantastic.
Apart from Sundays.
All those poor wee Haggises. Or Haggis, is it?
No, the amount we get, we were buying about 60 kilos a week.
Right.
So it's a lot of haggis, because there's more than one.
Right.
So yeah, it's a lot of people shooting them in Scotland.
Yeah.
Trying to catch them.
Yeah. But you're left-legged, right-legged?
We try and go with the ambidextrous ones. You need to suit all
So you're premium.
majority of people nowadays.
Dear me, I should say that there's definitely I should throw a caveat in here for our chat today. I'm a Scotsman who has lived in England for 25 odd years. You're probably a little bit longer than that.
I'll be 34 this year.
But when in the same company as somebody who comes from north of the border, the accent definitely changes a wee bit.
Yes.
So yeah, caveat to anyone, translation required, just whack this in ChatGPT afterwards and
they'll get it wrong.
Yeah, well, everything will be taken out of context. That's what we'll go with. But well, you kind of already alluded to the fact that we're sat in the Caledonian Club right now. So you are maybe one of the only businesses that kind of craves Q1 then.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, where everybody else is dreading it because it's the post-Christmas slump. You guys get off to a good start.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It keeps the business going every year. Because of the nature of our business, we are sort of dictated to by school holidays because it's a members club. So when there's school holidays, companies don't normally have big events because their staff need to look after their children. So for us, the first couple of months of the year is burns, birthday parties. We're going to come up to wedding season in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, it's every night. If it's not burns, it's something Scottish. Now we might have a couple of clans coming in for the biannual meetings. So the various business companies, Burns Club of London, London Scottish Rugby, etc., come in for dinners or lunches. A lot of Burns lunch as well. And we do some ladies that do lunch sort of things as well during the day.
Right.
So all of that keeps us busy. We may be doing 7 or 8 different events in a day. Now, in changing a room 2 or 3 times, depending if we've got a wee breakfast meeting, then going into a lunch, and then the room may turn into a drinks reception room in the evening.
Right.
So it's all hands on deck now for 16, 17 hours a day, Monday to Friday, from, as I said, the second week back in January to the first sort of half term in February, because we've got Scottish and English half terms and Easter and summer holidays to deal with. But with that, we quietened down a bit in beginning of May, but then when Chelsea Flower Show, Ascot, Wimbledon, the Ashes when they're in London, or any big sport events, we've got people from Britain but also from around the world, because we reciprocate with about 70 clubs around the world, and they come in to go to these places and they use us as a base.
Right.
Whether it's golfers from America or Australia going to Glen Eagles or St Andrews or Royal St George's in England, they use us as their base, and then we'll go in and hire us out for 2 weeks at their bedrooms, and then just go wherever they need to go.
Superb. Yeah.
So it's busy, which is good.
Yeah,
Every day is different.
Yeah, well, ain't that the truth? Yeah, the thing about places like this for me it also highlights certainly to me, maybe to the wider world as well, like the importance of tradition. It's still alive and well when it comes to business. I mean, just look at taking the Burns Night supper, right? If all of a sudden one day somebody said, we don't want to celebrate this anymore, look at all that business and excitement and celebration that is lost.
But that's not just hospitality, that's the arts, that's the other industries as well.
Yeah.
With that, if we took, now Robert Burns, well, he's not everyone's cup of tea, but what he does for the trades, hospitality, bars, food, hotels, the arts, entertainment, music, is silly. I don't think you could quantify the amount of money that his name makes every year, because it's worldwide. It's not just here in the Caledonian Club. It's everywhere has a Burns supper, even if it's one a year. It's something that people look forward to. Now, and because of that, it's haggis, this, that, the next thing. It keeps so many industries going.
Yeah.
Now, for a guy who died over 250 years ago.
I know. Yeah. How's your Saucy face?
That's fair.
God, here we go. I just get all the Scottish jokes out today, shall we? No, great. Well, look, we'll definitely come back to the club as we kind of get back to it in your journey, so that we can kind of, I suppose, learn a little bit more about what you have and what you stand for and all of that kind of stuff. But what I'd really love to do is take you all the way back to the beginning of your career, if you can remember it.
Not that old.
And how and why did you get into hospitality in the first place?
It was more I don't say an accident, it was more a necessity. As I spoke to you before about my growing up in Glasgow, it was more a necessity to find something that I could be able to cook, get a job quickly, and be able to do that virtually anywhere in the world. Now, I left school, I had my O-levels, had my hires. I was approached with others to go to Glasgow Uni, and I would have studied history if I went there. But because
escape.
I love it. My son's going to uni to do history.
I'll take that back.
But yeah, if it wasn't for the circumstances, I would have probably did that. But circumstances prevailed, and the nearest college within walking distance was Clydebank College. And I looked at their courses and thought, right, which ones I've got the qualifications to do, and will I get into what I'm interested in? There was business studies, accountancy, bricklay, and all sorts of manner of trades. And I've never been a sort of guy that can sit behind a desk for too long. So I put away accountancy and business studies, whereas although in school I did secretarial studies, but that was more to do with the fact there was 21 girls in the class. But that's neither here nor there. So I applied for a hotel and catering management course, and I think it was the first ScotVec one rather than HND or HNC.
So ScotVec.
Yep. So it was a new way of doing things. So I got accepted onto that, and then I started that in August 1989. Somehow managed to get Student of the Year when I was there in 1990, course finished in 91. But what happened was the Caledonian Club, where we're sitting in, used to send people up to Scotland to look at the colleges and ask for applicants as training managers.
Yeah.
So that was a few in Glasgow, Motherwell, etc. People were invited to apply and then come down. I think me and 5 others come down from Clydebank College. We got to sleep overnight, had an interview the next day, had a wee do it in London, and then went back and heard not much of it. And then a couple of months later, my mate, who I'm going to see tomorrow, which is Craig's still in the industry, he's the general manager in King's House in Glencoe, he actually got the job, and he turned it down because he was too scared to come to London. No, he didn't.
Because he's going to listen to this.
So too scared. No, I'll tell him that tomorrow. No, it just says he was too young. Because we were only 18, 19.
Yeah, so it's a big step to take.
And he said, when we talked back on it, he said, no, he didn't feel he was old enough to come down to London. And I'm a year older than him. So I must have been second in line. And they said, they then offered me it. I went, yeah, fine. Because my whole thing was, because of my circumstances, I need to go earn money and, if necessary, send money home.
Right.
Whereas Craig and my other mates went to uni. Uni was never in my plans, because for me, you learn so much more on the job The university can't teach you now people or the skills that you need in hospitality. It can tell you how to do it, but actually doing it, and everywhere, every restaurant, every hotel will serve food, but every one of them will do it a different way. It's the same as a table setup. We're shown in college or university how to set up tables and how to do that. But when you get into a restaurant, they might want to do it another way.
Yeah.
You can't tell them it's wrong, but you immediately go, well, that's not the way I was taught. But you need to learn the adaptability of going, right, okay then, that's how I was taught, but this is how they want to do it. So just keep my mouth shut and do it the way that they want to do it, or not. So I came down to London in August 1991 as a training manager here, spent my first year in the kitchen, and then went into the dining room, the bar and housekeeping, and then left in 1994, and then went down to Collins King and met Gary King, etc. And then the next day I was working for them.
And he's found you every single job ever since?
Just about, yeah. Gary knows, if I phone Gary up, it's like, okay, it's right, Ruth or whoever, right, there you go, take John, whatever job you'll get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, started working for Collins King, for Reed, not Collins King. It was Reed originally that he had. But through that, then went on to meet a lot of other butlers, British butlers, more importantly at that time. I was 23, so I would do my job for Reed's during the day. Got to know a couple of guys who said, look, do you want to come out doing private stuff? Cash in hand. And then you pay your tax at the end of the year, obviously. Just in case HMR's here listening.
Goes without saying.
Yeah, of course. So I got to know about 24, 25 guys who were 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s that were butlers and knew what they were doing. And me being the young recruit at the pub, I listened and I learned an awful lot from them. And then after 6 months, with Reeds, I get asked I want to stay in PricewaterhouseCoopers in Embankment, which at the time for Director's Table was the flagship.
Right.
So I went in there as butler with two other guys that were part of this core team of nighttime butlers. And so we did our job during the day and then went out at night 2, 3, 4 times a week, depending what was necessary, whether that was going to Kensington Palace to work, or now Lord and Lady so-and-so, or a football club, or down to London Scottish, or various other places. And this is what I was saying about adaptability. When you get into somewhere that's not got all the facilities,
yeah, you don't know what you're going
how
into
do you adapt
sometimes.
to?
Yeah.
If you've not got the adaptability or the awareness to be able to change, you can't. And in this industry, you need to be able to change. You need fluidity. You need to be able to think on your feet. And that, for me, helped me a lot, because coming out of college where you're shown that's that. I worked in a hotel in Glasgow, Kelvin Park Lawn Hotel, where my restaurant manager was always trying to sell me to ladies, because I was young and I had hair then. Yeah.
Always had the charisma though.
Oh yeah. Mario always tried to sell me. We went out in Partick. But then coming in here, where you're showing the way we do it in the club, and then going and see it in various other places, it just opens up your eyes to what's out there and how different things are for all doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And that helps. It certainly resonates. And when situations happen, right, how do you deal with that? I'm very good at thinking on my feet and getting solutions. And a lot of that will be partly myself, but also the fact that I have been in lots of different situations where you've not got this and not got that, and how do you adapt? You kind of go to your client and say, well, I've not got that, so you're just not getting it.
Oh, indeed. Well, that's the beginning of the end, isn't it, really?
Yes. So it's okay, I've not got that, but I've got this, and giving them an option rather than, no, hands up, I've not got anything. It's learning how to adapt and overcome and get the best out of a bad situation. So I started off as a butler in PwC, and then went for the role as restaurant and vending manager. I think it was about 97, something like that. Got that job, 6 months I was in restaurant, 6 months I was doing vending, and then a job swap with another lady who was part of a Director's Table campus management recruitment thing, training management programme. So we did that, and at the time, so I was told, we had the largest vending operation anywhere, especially in London. We didn't have the big high-rise block buildings that we have now, like in Canary Wharf. We had 83 vending machines that we had to look after, and in different types. So I could strip them and refill them and jam my fingers in them as well.
Lots of experience right there.
Yes, well, it was stupid. I got my finger traps, the coffee went on it, the hot water went on it, and there was nothing that I could do.
Right.
because I couldn't reach to switch it
Still
off.
got your fingers though?
Yeah. Oh no, I never. It just for a long time it was numb.
Right.
But it's all right now.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah. But that's experience. Don't do that again.
Yeah, indeed. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? These things happen.
Yeah. And when I'm training people, when I was training people how to clean the machines, oh, there's my finger. That's what not to do.
Yeah.
So yes, it was sore at the time, but it bodes well.
Yeah.
Because I've still got my fingers, and as a training tool, it was good because they didn't want to burn their fingers either.
Yeah. I think that kind of thing happens to everybody at some point in their career or just in life, right? I mean, I remember being on ships, and I once upon a time was responsible for what they were affectionately known as the pool boys, the guys who basically went around the deck on the ship and put the loungers out every day, tidied everything, made everything look good. And I remember we had some pretty horrific weather coming in, and so the word from the captain was, let's get everything, stowed away and battened down as quickly as possible. So that was kind of an all hands on deck. Ant never gets any of that, does it? It's always deck that gets all the hands on. And literally all hands on deck at this point. And I remember it was the first time that I'd ever cleared a lounger away. And when you're putting these white plastic loungers down, and you take the, I don't even know what you call it, but the thing that basically keeps the back up.
Yeah.
You put that down, I got my fingers...
You need to put it up to slice.
Yeah, I got my fingers absolutely trapped between two bits of hard plastic, and I never did that again.
Funnily enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
indeed.
Listen, you learn by mistakes. Now, when I'm training people, I say, look, learn mistakes, but my job is to minimise the amount of mistakes that you make. We will all make them, same as I do still, but my job is to minimise the amount of mistakes that you make by training you to do things the way I want you to do them. And this is a process I've done for years, so please trust in it. Don't try and cut corners, because you will end up hurting yourself. It's when I see people polishing glasses or opening up sparkling wine or whatever, and I stop them and go, what are you doing on polishing a glass? I went, well, you're doing it wrong, but I always do it this way.
Yeah, there's the
I went okay, and I showed them how I want them to do it. I went, because I'm not taking you to hospital when you've got a stem in your wrist, or when you open up a bottle of sparkling wine and you hit somebody with a cork at £220 per square inch, which I've seen happen lots of times. Now, if you do it the way I'm asking you to do it, you won't happen yourself or anyone else. It might take you 3 seconds later, but it will save you going to the hospital. So just listen to me. I've been there, seen it, done it. Now,
adapt again. Adapt.
Exactly. If you've not, but what if we've not got a napkin? We'll get a cloth, get a paper napkin, put it across the top, put it across the cage, put it in your body. I'm showing my son and his cousin on Saturday how to open up sparkling wine, because they're coming for jobs here.
Right.
And I went, if you do it this way, then we won't have a problem. Then obviously I have to drink it afterwards.
Once again, goes without saying.
Training.
Yeah. Well, it's part of the training.
Of course it is.
Yeah. You have to understand the taste of the thing that you're serving.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they are both 17 and we did the food. It was in the house.
Right. That's fine. That's fine.
Yes. So
I won't put your address on the podcast, by the way, for anybody to find you.
No.
After.
No. Or when you come get a glass of champagne.
Yeah.
So what was that? 1997. I was the restaurant manager, vendor manager to 2001, and then they were going for a total rebrand in the restaurant, and they didn't know how long it was going about for, so it made me redundant.
Right.
Which was fine, because I'd been on the phone to Gary, and as still part of Directors Table of Restaurant Associates, I moved to Bearings Bank. It used to be Bearings Bank. Bearings collapsed, so it was ING. They took it over in London Wall, where I went to work with my ex-Deputy General Manager, Simon Knight. And Simon Knight took me in there to work with Trevor Salthouse, etc., who's been at ING Bearings since he was a teenager. But I went into work with them for about 2.5 years now. And if people remember Bearings, after it collapsed, their wine cellar had about £1 million worth of wine in it that hadn't really been stock taked.
Oh, well.
And from what I was told, I did the first wine stock take in there. And it was Petrus, 72,
right.
Just lying on the floor. With whatever wine you wanted. Now, the directors got it for the cost price that Bearings bought it for back in the day. So if it was a 1963 vintage champagne cognac that was £12.50, that's what we sold it for, was £12.50.
Life.
When it would have been worth 60, 70, £800.
Yeah.
So they got it for the cost price.
Right.
And then when we did a job one night, it was pulling the morning shade, the lunch bars, Petrus, and one of the banking guys come up to me the next day and went, we made an £88 million deal on the back of that dinner last night.
Oh, there you go then.
He says, your staff, the service, did this, did that. was brilliant.
You see, we don't talk about that kind of stuff enough, because over the course of time, how many times has hospitality venues and the service delivered in those venues played its part in something very, very important happening, whether it's from a deal or a political reconciliation, or something that's made peace more possible, and or whatever. It's just we absolutely never talk about the fact.
Well, going back to that, when I worked in the butler side of it, when we're now just doing teas and coffees, I'd use the word there just, but I never use the word just for that, because I find it really, really important that tea and coffee is really, really important, because we've all been in meeting rooms where you've went to pour the coffee and it's hot water, and vice versa. Now, if you're in a bank about to invest £10 million or £20 million or £50 million, and they can't get the tea and coffee right, how does that bode for the future?
It's all linked.
Everything's linked.
And this is also something I don't think we talk about, is the fact that obviously we talk about hospitality in its classic form in the delivery of a food and drink experience, or a room for the night or whatever. But the amount of times that you'll have a situation in banks or in legal firms where you're not necessarily transacting, in inverted commas, tea, coffee, whatever, but you're still transacting warmth, a welcome, because you're trying to entice somebody to do business with you, and ultimately, in the end, that's a hospitality personality that brings somebody in. Of course, they're going to want to see the capability of what they're coming in to do, but maybe you don't get to that point if there's not been a degree of empathy and warmth to get somebody to that point in the first place. But
it's also, now, that was mainly with contract caterers, but a lot of people, even listening to this, will not know that banks do that sort of things, or did that sort of things. So they just think that banks are there. When talking to my mates, I used to work in a bank, that's what you say, you're in hospitality. They don't understand that banks, inside banks, finance places, lawyers, etc., all have meeting rooms, and predominantly always had, back in the day, before cuts, directors' dining rooms, directors' buffets. Now, all the big chiefs all had their own separate spaces to eat. Now, so that's why contract catering was so popular, because it wasn't on hotels or restaurants. We were doing it in big buildings, big businesses, where the outlay to contract caterers were not minimal, but they didn't have to pay for the electricity or gas, because that was covered by the company. And they had to put in the staff to staff it, but mostly, depending on your contract, the equipment was provided by the company. And this is your budget every year and how you use it.
And it's usually a pretty good budget, and it's usually a pretty decent space to cook within. And
Well, that's now, I've now come out of contract catering since 2016, but in the last 5 years before that, there was cuts because of banks being naughty and things like that. But there still are some places that aren't affected by that still get fantastic services, still look after their staff, still look after not just the hospitality staff, but their own staff, where they provide now free meals or now free something during the day to get them in, or creches and stuff like that. So now if you're listening and you love hospitality, you could potentially look down the contract catering route, because that's predominantly Monday to Friday. Now, rather than being in a hotel or a restaurant, which is open to 11, 12 o'clock at night, the contract catering is a great lifestyle if you want Monday to Friday and family friendly.
Yeah, but it's still very high calibre.
Oh yeah, of course.
But
that's what I said. It's not just a tea and coffee.
Yeah.
Nothing's just.
It's not just canteen food.
No, nothing's just. That's what I mean. It's like when I play golf, I'm just going to hit my 9-iron down there and then end up fluffing it. I need to remember myself, it's not just a wee 9-iron, because I'll end up fluffing it. It's not an important shot.
There's a process to go through.
Everything like that is important. And then because I've not got OCD, as I'm aware of, but I like things done meticulously. So I went into the dining rooms or conference rooms, whatever they were called, and made sure all the credenzas and side tables were set up exactly the same way for every room, whether it's for 4, 6, 8, 10, 20, 40 people in the room. If we had a room for 4, 6 people, they don't have a small room, so it's only a small side table. If it's for 40 people, it's a bigger room with more side tables. But every one of them was set up exactly the same way. So if it's for 3, you'd always had 4. For 5, it's 6. So even numbers, and set up the same way. That way, when every room was set the same. Because how could I say to someone, you've set the room wrong, if every room was set differently?
Yeah.
So especially, I think the first time I really used that in contract catering is when I went into Credit Suisse. Because when I went into, after ING, etc., with the process in place there, which were good, I just tinkered about it because I wasn't the head butler. But when I moved to Close Brothers in 2004, I did play about it and started setting up everything exactly the way that I wanted because I got free rein to. Then I was in there for 7 years and I worked directly for the bank.
Right.
No contract
So
catering, directly for the bank. And that was the reason that I left there, because they brought in a contract caterer and the way they did it I didn't like. I walked in, now at 8 o'clock, my boss normally come up 25 past 8, his coffee was ready for him, but he never come up, so I went into his office, says, what's happening? He's like, oh, I can't talk. What do you mean? I went, I've been made redundant. I went, what? And I come upstairs and the head chef was walking down and went, I've just been made redundant. Right. I'm like, what? So I went down to the facilities house manager, says, what's happening? I went, well, can't talk about it just now, I'll talk to you soon. So I had my staff coming in and we were none the wiser.
What are you supposed to say?
Yeah, we'd still have to deal with the meetings and all of that, the lunches that was happening. But then at 3 o'clock, we took in a room and we had a meeting with the said contract caterers. And I said, well, who's going to manage it? And they went, well, you. I went, okay, well, that's news to me.
Yeah, might have wanted maybe have spoken to me about that.
Well, they should have spoke to you. They went, we will bring one of our guys in, but you and him or her together. I went, well, that's news to me. And I don't like the way you've done this. And they put the package in front of us if we wanted to take voluntary redundancy, but they wanted me to stay. I went home, thought about it. So this was in 2010, and we just bought a house in January 2010, and this was February.
Right, yeah. So mortgage...
Yeah, now mortgaged up, son at 2.5. What we're going to do? My wife was like, look, you're not happy, are you? But no, I love working there. What this will do is take away from me the power to, I need new cups, I need new saucers, buy them. I need new this. I don't like that supplier because he was late on Monday and Tuesday, so I'll go and get another supplier. I says, and all of that will be taken away from me because there'll be contract caterers. These are our suppliers, and that's that.
Yeah.
You can't bring in your new stuff because someone has to tell you that you're going to do it. Now, as well as I loved working on contract catering, when you want to make change, you can't because your hands are tied.
Yeah, it's got to go up the chain.
Yes, and if you don't get permission to do it, you get told off, which I've been told off before for doing things.
Stories there.
Yeah. So she went, well, look, we've just got a mortgage, etc. I went, look, this is the payoff. And she went, right, take that. We'll support you, don't worry about it. So only one of the 7 of us remained. The rest of the team of 6 women, 5 of them took voluntary redundancy with me. Because I sat down and explained what would happen. Bear in mind, I'd worked for contract caterers before that for like 15 years. So I knew the ins and outs of contract catering. I'd say to them, this is potentially what will happen. I did my homework on the other company. Yeah, this is definitely going to happen. And then 6 months later, I was at a wedding, and the one lady that stayed says, John, everything that you said has come right. And we have now agency staff in, whereas before there were 7 of us across 2 floors and no agency. And she went, and now the sandwich lunches went from £10 to £25.
Wow, that's
Yes.
a bit of a leap.
Yes. All because they're using different types of bread and cutting up the fruit.
Right. Did they see the 2024 kind of inflationary things before they became a thing?
I did say this would happen, and she went, it's went down the pan. And I went, well, I did say, but everyone that was making decisions hadn't worked in hospitality. They were changing the rooms to beautiful big glass panels with the wee button that you could press off.
Right. Yeah.
Which is beautiful and great.
Yeah.
With big leather chairs, beautiful and great. Big tables, beautiful and great. But you couldn't get a trolley around it to put in and set up a sandwich lunch.
Really.
The floor, the carpet was lifted up, and a sort of a laminate, new type of lino was put down. So when you're walking along a corridor with trolleys, going to meeting rooms, and you're in having a meeting through a glass.
You hear it everywhere.
And so I went, when I heard they were refurbishing it, I said to the house manager, I went, are they going to talk to us about anything? He went, well, why? I went, they don't know what they're doing. The designers will go, this is great, that's great, but they don't know what we do. So there was no conversation about that. So subsequently, when it get put in, it had to be retrofitted.
Right. You can't just go out and buy a quiet trolley.
No. So everything we had to get carpets back in again, and £5,000 a sheet glass didn't work. and they changed the chairs because we couldn't buy them.
Right.
Beautiful chairs, beautiful furniture, not got a problem with the design, but just not right in there. But again, people don't listen to people in hospitality because they just think that all we do is carry plates.
Yeah.
That's it. You just carry a plate and you just pour coffee and you just do that. They don't actually know anything. There's more people that I've saw in hospitality that are doctors, nurses, radiologists, etc. because their qualification from a different country wouldn't work in Britain, but they're so highly skilled and knowledgeable. Whereas here, they're come across to work now as a hospitality assistant or a waiter, when in fact now a lot of them geniuses.
Yeah.
But again, it's Britain. We don't recognise the industry at hospitality. It's just carrying a plate. It's just taking an order. It's just pouring a pint.
It's total madness.
Yeah.
And I think it's better, but I still think we've got a long way to go in terms of that reputation as to what it is and the value that it brings. And let's not even get into the social and economic value it brings and all that. One, because I don't know the exact figures, but two, that's not what this podcast is for. No. But it does highlight, that the value of hospitality stretches way beyond what people think it does, just in very simplistic terms. And I think that's maybe one of the issues that we have in terms of its general reputation as an industry to come and build your career in. Because let's face it, right? I mean, you can build a cracking career here.
Oh, of course.
And yet, for some reason, we're still having to bang the drum around, busting all the myths that everybody else thinks because they think they know better and all of that.
That we've never worked in the industry.
Yeah.
5-star hospitality means having the right people in the right place at the right time, and that's exactly where RotaCloud can help. RotaCloud is the online platform that makes planning rotas, recording attendance, and managing annual leave easy. Its simple, drag-and-drop interface lets you create and share rotas with your team in minutes, while our built-in budgeting tools mean you'll know exactly how much you're spending on staffing before sending the rota out. RotaCloud also makes life easier for your staff, allowing them to check their rotas, request time off, and pick up extra shifts, all through the RotaCloud mobile app. Start your 30-day free trial today by visiting rotacloud.com/Phil and find out how much easier managing your team can be.
So I left there. I took 6 months off working, but in that time I helped the builders do up my house and went, right, okay, contract catering. And I looked at that, easy Monday to Friday. I've got a young son. And then I decided to my AAT in bookkeeping. Because obviously I've been to college, done that. As part of that, I did financial record keeping, etc. I can count, got all the olds, etc. But I can't do maths. Can't. X and Y are letters of the alphabet.
I'm not going to argue with you. I can't remember a time where I've actually put that into practice in day-to-day life. But
I knew the way that when I first went into contract catering, we always had an accountancy person there that did the paperwork. But more and more, it ended up the general manager or assistant general manager or doing the invoices, etc., etc. So I thought to myself, right, when I get back into it, I might have been out of contract catering for 7 years, but I've prepared myself as well as I can because I now know I've got qualification in bookkeeping, so I can do that. Front of house, I'm a qualified chef, so I've got all the qualifications to get back in there. So I did one temp job for an agency, and that was in Canary Wharf to Credit Suisse. And the remit was very simple. We had black trousers, white shirt, and cufflinks. The company would provide tie, waistcoat, etc. So I get in early, as I do because I hate being late. I'm suited and booted. Go in, ask for the hospitality manager, get taken up to him, chat to him. And I've not got an appointment, no, I'm here to work tonight. And you're very well dressed for coming this way. Well, I'm coming as a butler. I thought I better now make an effort. And we had 12, 15 other butlers walk in whose shirts were grey, unironed, their hair all over the place. Oh, I've no cufflinks, I've no this, I've no that. Their shoes unpolished. And I thought to myself, is this the state that hospitalities came to or recruitments came to when they're allowing the staff that they are providing to commute and to work in a prestigious place dressed like that? Now, the way I operate and of my standards of cleanliness, the way my uniform looks, etc., is that everything has to be presentable. I might not be the nicest looking guy in the world, but at least take a shine off of that way now, looking at what I'm wearing and making sure that everything's neat, tidy. Going back to being a butler, but even before that, when I was at college, when you're standing in a line and make sure your uniform and everything's fine. So that night, went in everybody was there, got our bits, went in, checked my room, went back, told the hospitality manager, after checking 7 or 8 rooms that they were all wrong. Bearing in mind the other people had been in the rooms as well, and none of them told them that they were wrong. It's hard to eat a caramelised goat's cheese tart with a spoon and fork, and I think it was a Pavlov or something like that.
Hard, but not impossible.
Yeah, not impossible, but just not what you would expect your guests to do.
No, indeed. You try to make their life easy.
Yeah, so ended up, we got it all changed as the guests were arriving. So as I said, it was Credit Suisse, and biannually the people from Swiss offices come across to London and vice versa. So it was the most important night of the year, and I'd finished my room, come back, and I ended up doing the pass for like 40 rooms. And the head chefs looked at to the manager and went, "You need to employ this guy. He knows what you're doing." So next day I was invited in and offered 2 roles as butler, one in Canary Wharf and one in Pall Mall. I went, well, the one in Pall Mall's only got 12, 18 rooms in a small building. I went, done that. Let's go to 10,000 people in Credit Suisse. So that's what I did. And then we had 46, 48 meeting rooms, doing breakfast, lunch, dinners, different events, etc. I went, I will learn a lot more. And it's still Monday to Friday. Because as I said, my son was only about 3 at the time. So he was in bed early and not out doing sports or anything like that because he was only 3.
Yeah.
And then within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I was supervisor. And 18 months later, I was the assistant hospitality manager in there.
Right. What year are we approximately in now?
2010 to 2013.
Right. Right.
So I was in Close Brothers from 2004 to 2010.
So this is in that period where we'd had obviously the post-bank slump. Yeah, that's probably a very generous way of putting it, isn't it? Crash is way better. And everything was rebuilding, I suppose, at that point in time.
Luckily enough, during the crash, that's when we were in Close Brothers. So Close Brothers, they were the largest independent merchant bank in Britain. And we weren't affected by that because we were independent.
Yeah, of course.
So we weren't in Canary Wharf, we were in the city, not affected at all, from my point of view. Now, yes, on the floor, with the bankers might have been, but for me, in the meetings and the dining, etc., we weren't affected at all. So when now contract caterers, etc., were letting people go, we didn't need to, that sort of thing didn't affect us.
Yeah.
Now, when Goldman Sachs and all that went under, my head chef here, he worked in Goldman Sachs then. I think he was affected by that.
Right.
But yeah, 2010 to 13 was Credit Suisse. And then we left Credit Suisse, and then I walked 100 yards to be the hospitality manager in Barclays with ISS. And I walked in there with 18 butlers. And 2 years later, when I left, we had 9.
Right.
Because again, the banks made cuts. First year, made budget, I think it just exceeded budget. And then they closed one building, but we still had 40 odd rooms in the plaza, as well as going up and down 5NC. But with the 10 South Colonnade, that got stopped. But you're still a couple hundred meeting rooms potentially servicing.
Wow, yeah.
With breakfast, lunch and dinner and events.
But even that in itself is probably an interesting experience.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe not in the moment, maybe with hindsight it is, but because, with the best will in the world, there's not one wonderful upward trajectory, right, in terms of economics, in terms of what's going on in the world. I mean, we're living kind of in that moment right now as well, where it's like a roller coaster from 1 month to the next. So it's valuable experience as well to be in an organisation that is, for want of a better phrase, in decline as much as it is one that's moving forward, because you learn a load of stuff.
Yeah, but that wasn't the first time that had happened to me. In Credit Suisse, they get fined heavily. And the first thing that went was hospitality, because it's a luxury.
Yeah, because it's your fault as well, right?
Yeah, we went from doing a la carte lunches for the directors to them having sandwich lunches. So our head chefs that were brilliant, not just the head chef and his team that were brilliant, when we were going, right, we're not doing what I wanted to do because we're just making sandwiches. So they went, right, okay, then we'll leave. So they left one by one, and the whole dynamic with it changed with Credit Suisse. Went from being one of the flagships to a sandwich maker and a buffet maker.
Yeah.
And again, that's sad to see, but that's the business. But I said to my new ops manager in Barclays Bank, when Barclays, I remember it was the 1st of March 2014, I said to him, right, all of our menus were agreed and will be repriced today. The very same day that Barclays cut everything. He went, well, you need to still make the budget. I went, I can't, I won't. I'm not going to kill myself because it's impossible.
Yeah.
We've got an SLA of 7 till 7. Our menus were priced at £35 for lunch, £45 for dinner. Barclays went, we're only going to allow £25 for lunch and £35 for dinner. That takes us out of the place straight away.
Yeah.
But luckily enough, Richard was downstairs. We'd already put on a sort of a meat or a fish trolley, whereas you get 3, 4, like lamb, this, that, next, salmon, cod, and you get to choose which one you wanted, which we priced at £25. So we managed to make still a dining business out of that, because you got a salad as a starter, whatever meat or fish you chose, and whatever veg you had, and then a dessert that they made. So we managed to make that successful just by sheer luck.
Right.
Now, it's effectively taking a trolley into, now, a Caledonian trolley in a restaurant, or like a dessert trolley, and going, there you go, this is our desserts. But we did that for lamb cutlets or fillet of beef, whatever. But if we managed to get it for the butcher or the fishmonger on a special, or if we had a buffet on, this is what he had left. So it was to use up what we had.
Yeah.
And
So
if we
you get
didn't do that,
cost down.
yeah, if we didn't do that, it'd have been different. But then Richard, he was told that he was going to be made redundant. Because we all get told we were going to be made redundant and look for jobs. But then when we started to look for jobs, well, what are you looking for jobs for? Well, we don't know. And we went from 18 to 9, and then because of a lot of things that happened with ISS and promises that were made and not delivered, I left.
Right.
And not for a job that was better paid. It's just that I was told one thing that wasn't given to me.
Right. I mean, God, it shows you as well. Like I still see this happening today. It happens so often where something like this will happen, and it's just not communicated, like, to the people who matter the most, which is the team who deliver whatever it is that you promised to deliver. And I still never have understood why. And people can hide behind the fact that, you don't want to create panic and all of that. But the thing that gathers the most respect in situations like this is honesty. And if there's a problem, let's deal with the problem collectively, rather than, no, we'll deal with the problem. You just crack on with what you're going to do, and we'll tell you when we're
we know
ready.
better than you.
Yeah. And I still, to this day, I don't understand that as a mentality.
Now, I can understand it to a degree, but now, because Barclays was worldwide for ISS. Now, and again, the way I set up the credenzas, everything like that, the ops management, can I use that in the other Barclays? I went, he says, I've not trademarked it. Of course you can.
Yeah.
He says, but it's just, it makes it easier for to train everybody the same way. I went, I know, that's why I did it. And also in dining rooms, you might only have 10 minutes to clear and reset a room. So when you go in, you know where you're putting stuff, when and how to put it. Whether you get somebody coming in as an agency or somebody that's been there for 20 years, they know exactly what they're going to do and when.
It just makes it more efficient, right? And
That's exactly it.
It frees up capacity to do the thing that actually makes the biggest difference, which is be great at serving to your guest.
But then the guest whole journey that's coming in, when they go to reception, is my room ready? Yes, is a lot better than no. But we've got a call coming in 3 minutes. But the room's not ready, so you just need to wait. Yeah. That whole delay.
Much like my arrival today.
Yeah.
The room was ready, by the way.
Yes. And breakfast.
Yeah, that was a Brucey bonus.
But yeah, it's totally streamlining that. But then into Barclays, as I said, they promised me one wage, and then after 2 years it still wasn't forthcoming.
Right.
And because of the cuts and changes and all that, I went, why am I hitting my head against the wall here? So I left there and got a job as assistant general manager in State Street. So just going up a couple of 100 yards in Canary Wharf to State Street by Baxter Story. So that's Director's Table, Restaurant Associates, Compass, ISS, Baxter Story, as well as plethora of others when I was temping. Now, some companies aren't there anymore. But went there, enjoyed there again, same sort of thing, changed the style in the dining rooms, etc. Because it was my job to make sure that the dining room, although it was AGM, it was right, John, your focus and make sure that the fine dining is up to scratch, because of my experience in fine dining. And then when I was asked to get into the staff restaurant, I could do that as well, because I did that in PwC. So everything, all your experiences, you never know when you're going to use them, but as long as it's up your sleeve, you can use it.
Yeah.
Now in State Street, when we had chefs off sick and stuff like that, it was me that was cooking for the directors in the fine dining, because I could, as well as now going down to the staff restaurant and managing that when the dining room manager left. Because with that's another story. State Street was lovely to work in, but it got messy.
Right.
I went away on holiday for 2 weeks, came back, dining room manager had already left, general manager had resigned.
Right, welcome back.
Yes.
Off you pop.
Yeah, and it was, John, can you manage the staff restaurant? I went, yeah, no problem. We have a new head chef and she likes doing things her way. I went, that's fine. Went in, my first service, sat down after it and went, okay, that's the worst service I've ever had in my life. She went, well, why? I went, well, let's think about it. You've got one fryer, you've got chips, you've got buttermilk chicken and something else in the one fryer. When you've got staff canteen, chips is your biggest seller. It's your biggest seller, biggest seller, biggest seller. So you need chips all the time. And when people are waiting, and we'd only about 600 people, so it wasn't a lot. Mm-hmm. I mean, you don't get enough chips.
Like a lot.
No. No, and as I said, in Credit Suisse, the staff canteen there could do a couple of thousand.
Right.
And PwC, when I had that was about 700-800. But again, chips. I had the chips on top and chips in the hot plate underneath at all times. Because people might just want to come in and get chips. They don't want to be queuing up and then waiting. So we sat down and said, look, well, with the menus, I'll work with you to look at the menus, etc., etc. And she was okay for a day or two. And then she listened to me, and then she just never. And she's like, well, I could then, right, John, the GPs aren't great. So new manager come in, GM come in, temporarily apparently. Right, can you have a word with about the GPs? So, yeah, no problem. Right, well, lasagna. How much mince do you use in your lasagna? Well, why? I went, well, because that's your most expensive ingredient. So you look at that first, and then we work around that. She went, right, 200 grams per portion. I went, right, okay. So let's make it simple, right? How much are you buying that in for? She said £6.57. So I went, right, okay. So you get 200 grams, so you divide your price by 5. Why 5? I went, well, 200 times 5 is a kilo, and that's your price. Oh, okay then. So I said, let's make it simple. If it's £10 a kilo, it's £2 that you're using of mince. And then you've got your lasagna sheets, then you've got your bechamel, then you've got your salads, then you've got your garlic bread on top of that. So this is what it will cost. I went, right, okay. I went, so I put it in real terms. I went, so it's now costing, say, £2.10. Right, okay. So you're selling it at £3.50. Okay, I went, so what's that? That's not your GP. Mm-hmm. That's not the way I was shown how to do it. I went, well, whoever showed you? And she name-checked the operations manager. I went, I don't think she would. I've known her for a long time. I don't think that's how she would show you. So what do you think? I went, well, I'm going to write down a number here that I think. Why don't we Google it so it's completely independent? You choose a famous chef and get their lasagna recipe up. So whether it's Tom Kerridge or James Martin or Jamie Oliver, and see what they say per portion. So I went, okay then. It came up 100 grams. I went, there you go, here's 100.
Yeah, well,
so you're given double the amount and wondering why you've not gotten your GP. And no, that's not it. And then I as well went, you know what? If you don't want to help yourself, I can't help you. Because she obviously knew better than me.
And you always come across people like that who don't want to learn, right? And who are very stoic in their viewpoint that it's my way and that's it. And that's...
Which is fine if they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They need to know what they're doing.
Even then it's not fine.
No, it's not.
No, indeed. But
then a couple of weeks later, I walked into the kitchen at 7:00 at night, and it was about 200 chicken par-cooked for the next day. And I looked into the one walk-in fridge that we had, and so there wasn't enough space for the chicken.
Right.
So I was back in the next morning at 7:15, and the chicken had moved about a foot.
Not been out all night.
No, I can't prove that.
Right, okay.
But what I could prove was the temperature of the chicken.
Right, yeah.
That were between 12 and 16 degrees.
Right. And par-cooked this is as well.
Yes.
So it's not like it had just come out or whatever.
No. So that means they weren't inside, but when she challenged me and went, you can't tell me they weren't in the fridge, I went, no, I can't tell you that. I wasn't here all night, but what I can tell you is the temperature of them. And what I can tell you is you're not serving them today. Oh, what do you mean? I went, well, I'm not killing anyone on my watch. Mm-hmm. The general manager is off site today. I'm the assistant general manager. Therefore, I'm in charge. Oh, no, that's not what I'm in charge. I went, you're head chef. I'm the assistant general manager. And she started having a little shouting match. I went, they're not going on today. She went, oh, the ops manager and the executive head chef are coming in. I went, I don't care who you're bringing in. And they're not getting used. I will go and tell the client there's been a missed delivery, a wrong delivery or something like that. But they are not being served. We've got pregnant women in here. I am not serving a pregnant woman chicken that at 7 o'clock in the morning it's 16 degrees. It's not happening. And she had a wee rant, and then phone calls were coming, John. I went, I'm not serving them. I says, you just can come and remove me from site if you want, but I'm not serving that. I'm not making anyone ill on my watch. Bear in mind, we had the highest out of any bachelor story site for health and safety. We had 96, 97%, because I'd done it everywhere I went. I was sort of in charge in health and safety because of no, that has to be done right.
Yeah.
That's wrong. Get it cleaned. Make sure it's fine. And I went, no. Nobody's getting killed on my watch. And I had a very good relationship with the client and said to them, look, we've had an accident. And she went, right, okay. A couple of months later, or weeks, walking through the kitchen, a big black bag dripping onto veg. I went, what the hell is that? Opened it up and it was fish.
God.
Defrosting onto veg underneath it. And I said, okay, P, look, can all this go? And she came in. I said, what are you doing with that? I said, you're defrosting that? You're going to use that tomorrow? Oh, no, I'm throwing it out. I went, so if you were throwing it out, why is it not in the bin? Instead of putting it here, and you've ruined everything underneath there with cross-contamination. The company policy is you're going to defrost anything that's defrosted in the fridge, not outside. And then she started, oh, you're just a racist. And I went in front of the whole kitchen, I went, you've now crossed the line with me. I said, I've never been called a racist. I've never been racist to you. I've always said please and thank you. Even when I was asking you the other things, I was always calm and considered. But you've now crossed the line with me. And that's that. So I went up and I phoned up. Spoke to my manager, who again wasn't there that day. Phoned up with HR. I went, right, I need to report this. So the fish were thrown out. The veg were thrown out. I went, no, I'm sorry, but I'm reporting you. Because I've never reported anybody. I went to management about anybody in my 20 odd years in hospitality. But you're a danger to people in here. And the way you spoke to me, I'm not having it. There's 10 chefs in the kitchen. And I'm not having it. You're not embarrassing me and calling me that in front of everybody. So got to had the investigation. I said, back to the story. So John, what do you want to happen? I went, I'd like a written apology. You know what, off-site? I went, being off-site is your decision, not mine. I personally don't think she should be here, but that's above my pay grade, and that's up to you if you want to do that. But these are the facts of what she's done in the past 4 months that she's been here, that I've seen. She tried to kill people twice, because that's potentially what could have happened, and seriously dent our reputation. Our GP's all over the place. Chefs are leaving every week. People are complaining about her. But it's up to you. If you still want to keep her here, that's entirely up to you. But all I want is a written apology, which I never got.
Right.
And I said to him, if I don't get it by this date, I'm leaving. What do you mean you're leaving? I went, I will leave. It says, I don't care about money. I says, I care about people's life and my reputation. I says, I left my previous job because of the way I was mistreated, by not getting what I was promised. I left the job before that because of the way the company came in and mistreated that, mishandled that. I will always get a job somewhere. I've not got a problem with that. But you kind of get your reputation back. I've only one of me. I need my reputation. But your reputation, the company will go down because this is seen as the flagship. So never got the letter of apology. On my leaving day, having a leaving party, she came up to me a few days before and went, John, can I come at your leaving party? I'm saying, are you that mad? You don't know why I'm leaving? And you come at me, oh, John, can I come to your leaving party? I went, it's in a pub. I can't stop you if you want to a pub. So if you want to be in the pub at the same time as us, that's fine. So in the pub, she came up to me and apologised. But I never got it in written. Yeah.
A little bit late though.
But that's fine. Because everything happens for a reason. So this was September 2016, we had a bar in the back garden. Get made in July. So it finished in September, the outside and that. And then the builders had stopped. So this was October 2016. And I said to my wife, look, we need to get somebody around to do the internals. And she went, you're not working, you can do it. What do you mean? She went, YouTube it. So I did YouTube it. And I did all the inside of my bar. The electrics were done, the flooring was done. But I built up the walls and built a bench and built the bar and stuff like that with my own 2 hands. And it looks quite good. But whilst I was doing that, I got a phone call from here.
Right.
And it was...
I mean, this is a full circle moment coming back, isn't it?
So, came back in here, 2016, at the end of 2016 as F&B manager, and then get made redundant in 2020.
Why was that, John?
COVID. A wee thing called COVID.
Yeah, there's nothing really going on that year.
No, but that was more to do with the fact that Rishi Sunak had announced that furlough was going to end in November.
Right, okay.
If he hadn't announced that, we wouldn't have been made redundant. There was 12 of us been made redundant, and I'm the only one who got asked to come back, and that was in October 2021. So
I mean, that's clearly not an animosity-driven situation, right? It
No.
was a weird old time.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody really knew what was what
now,
in that moment.
I come back in, we'd done all the COVID soft opening, etc., etc. I was part of the team that got the certificate and did this. And I'd actually said to David, look, David the boss, I went, put me back in furlough because I'm doing 15, 16 hours a day just now, but you can get 2 staff in doing 8 hours each. And then you're taking 2 people off furlough and put me back on it. But I'd already said to my wife, I went, look, expect for me to get made redundant. I accept it. It's not personal. It's for the business. And I left Glasgow with my family to come down and work here, and I want the best that I can for here. And I'm very passionate about here. So when David called us in, I went, right, fine, not a problem. He's like, now David and I have known each other for now 30 odd years. He went, you were the easiest person to deal with. You went, yeah, fine. Because it's no personal.
No, yeah, and you understand the reasoning.
Yeah, and then now COVID's still going through it. I think we got the jab, so my wife allowed me to work again, because she said, no, you're not going out to work, because my wife's got MS. And then I think it was August I started going out and doing butler work, and then doing that, and then September got a call for here to come back in and help out, because one of the guys unfortunately had a stroke and he couldn't get staff. So within that, I came back in on the Monday and was asked if I wanted to be operations manager on the Wednesday. And then that got officially done in October 2021.
And the rest is history.
And the rest is history. I've been back here since.
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah, and what a place. I mean, we spoke about this early on in the conversation around this is a place that's we talked about history as well, right? That has mountains of history, mountains of tradition. Mm-hmm. But, even as I looked last night before I came in to ensure that I was going to be dressed appropriately, I'd be able to come in the front door. Mm-hmm. Even that's evolved. So, to me, this is like a wonderful amalgamation of tradition that should never be forgotten, history that should never be forgotten. There's so much that must have happened in this building over the course of its life.
Yeah. Well, this house was built in 1907 for an MP called Hugh Morrison. He apparently died in here in 1931.
Right.
We don't know much about what happened between 1931 and the war, but during the war this was used as a recuperation place for army officers, and also a couple of private members' clubs, one being the Dandies, an all-female club. Our clubhouse was in St James's, opposite the East India Club, and it got bombed. It was a write-off, so we had to find a new home. So we've been in here since 1946 full time. So even at that, the evolution of that, when I started here in 1991, it was a men-only club. Women were allowed in but couldn't be members in their own right. Women couldn't get in the front door, women couldn't get into the bar.
Wow, right.
And if women stepped foot in the bar, the members would be rather coarse. Now, thankfully everything's changed now, and since 2010, we've been free of that. Women could be members in their own right, which is great, because I'll take anyone's money.
That's the old Ouija coming out in you.
That's it. Well, that's why I started cocktails in here. We never did cocktails before. And I charged them $6.95. I went, why cocktails? That's for women. I went, all right, where there's women, what happens where there's women?
There's men.
There's men. So when a woman's drinking a cocktail, the man might have a cocktail, but then have a pint because it's done in 2. So we're getting 2 instead of the price of 1. Oh. I went, yes. We'll make great margins from that. And we'll get people in. If they want to stay here and drink, they'll go upstairs to the dining room, so we'll get that. If some of the younger females want to bring their friends here for cocktails, and now they can, whereas before they couldn't because it was pints and whiskey, we need to look at the females to get their money rather than just the man's money.
Yeah.
So they feel safe bringing in their own friends, that they're not going to just be given a glass of beer or a glass of lager or a glass of whiskey and a gin and tonic. There's more to life in drinks than just that.
Yeah, and that's massively important, right? In terms of even your membership is robust and has, the club has been around for a long, long time, but it's probably been around for a long, long time because of its ability to adapt again. I guess that word again.
We're slow adapting. The whole Thai thing took a long time to change, but when we used the one word, which is optional, and that opened doors. But to get to that word optional, there was a lot of chairmen that didn't want to be the one that changed things.
Right.
And change is something that's very slow in private members' clubs. We're very lucky, although we do have committees, we don't have a committee for wine, we don't have a committee for sandwiches, We don't have a committee for what kind of toilet paper we use now, unlike a lot of other clubs. But it still can be slow, because that sort of move, taking the tie away, the chairman will be remembered for that, whether it's their downfall or not.
Right.
It's these sort of decisions that they think about. But now, the word option will help that out.
Yeah.
So you can wear one, or you don't need to wear one at lunchtime or any time in the club. But if you go to the dining room at night, then you have to have one. We've still got that formality, but during the day, less formal, to try and entice younger people in and people from different clubs.
Yeah, and it's your hospitality space in the end, right? And,
yes.
And you're delivering excellent hospitality. So, yes, the membership should have, of course, their exclusive rights because they're paying for that. Mm-hmm. But how else do you win new members other than letting new people come in and experience it? And
a lot of people, it's more so the young ones, they want the formality because they could go to any other club just about they wanted to.
Yeah.
Because here it's predominantly, you need to have a Scottish connection. But a lot of the other clubs, you don't need the connection, you just need the money.
Right.
And that's it. But here, you need to have a connection to Scotland. And if you wanted to go to a sports club or a shooting club or whatever, a fishing club, then you could do that and you don't need to be any nationality. But here, you don't need to be Scottish. It helps, but as long as you've got a link with Scotland, then you get a membership. Now, we join clubs because that's something we're interested in. Whether it's a golf club or rowing club or fishing club, that's why people join clubs. But they know when they get here, like this is what's expected, this is the formalities, this is this, this is that. They're told that at the start. If they don't want to do that, then they don't need to join.
Yeah.
Nobody's forcing them. And when we say to the younger ones, a lot of the younger ones will still come in, say with shirt and tie on, because that's what they want to do. Yes, the business world's changing, and hotels and other clubs are changing, but they want to come in here and be part of the more formal, more traditional set. They can have their life outside there with their friends, but come in here and be sort of more staid, because when they get older, it might be like that.
Yeah.
But they want a bit of formality, which they won't get in most places.
No, and then it becomes a USP, right? Rather than the norm everywhere that you can get, and people will be intrigued by, why are they?
Yeah. Now for our Burn Supper with the pipers outside, with the band outside, the amount of people that stop in the street and take videos and photographs of any time we've got a piper out there, it's like, what's happening here?
That's very difficult not to stop, right? Because you can't hear anything else anyway.
Can't hear buses coming to you.
Yeah, indeed. Great. I'm very, very conscious of time, and I appreciate you giving the time that you have to the show. I can't let us pass this moment together without talking about a story of treason.
Yes.
So yes, we're hoping that enough time has elapsed here for you to be able to regale this story without fear of retribution. But yeah, tell us what happened.
Well, it was back when I was working in PwC. As I said, we went out at night and did private jobs. And one of the other guys in PwC, who's actually in the IOH and a fellow, so I will not name him.
Right.
He used to work with me. People that know me will know who it is. He said that he couldn't go that night. He couldn't make it to Buckingham Palace.
Right.
And I had been there previously, so my name was on the list. I was security cleared. Let's get that out there from the front line.
Your Honour.
But underneath my own name, I could go in. But because my name wasn't on the list that night, they wouldn't let me in.
Right.
So I went in under said other person's name, wasn't Scottish, and I'll narrow it down, he was Irish.
Okay.
And with his Irish name and my Scottish accent, any copper with a wee bit of nous would have put two and two together. Because in Buckingham Palace back then, and this was only in 96, 97, so not 100 years ago, we didn't have to photo ID.
Right.
Some of the banks we went into, we needed ID. But to get into
Palace.
Buckingham Palace, we never. I worked in Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle, St James's Palace, personal butler to Princess Margaret, at Hampton Court Palace, Prince Charles was on my table, Guildhall with the Queen a few times, and not once was asked for ID.
Right.
For photographic ID.
You've obviously got a trusting face, John.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so went in, did the job there, but under
no questions asked.
Under a false name.
Right.
And a certain Mr. Fagan had been in the news because he tried to scale the walls of Buckingham Palace.
Right.
So it was around that sort of time. So I was surprised that security wasn't as tighter than it was.
Right.
But now you can see why he jumped across the wall.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, well, I think it's a bit more robust these days.
Yeah, nowadays it is.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Superb. I love stuff like that. That's the characterful nature of the sorts of things that happen, right? And there must have been a moment where you were in the queue waiting to get in, where you were sweating a bit.
Oh yeah.
Am I going to get away with this?
Well, it wasn't just that. It was I've given up work tonight to come and work here, so I could be losing money.
Right? Yeah.
More importantly,
simplistic.
I don't think they'd have put me in chains, but they would have certainly questioned me. Because that happened my first day. I came down to London, walking up there. I get stopped by the police with my bags. They're like, "Where are you going? Who are you? Where are you from?" Because I was 19, but looked about 7.5.
Have you lost your mammy?
But that's it. What are you doing here? Why are you here? I'm going to work in the Caledonian Club. Where is it? Number 9 Halkin Street. And like, are you sure you're not running away? I went, no, I've just come off the train. What train was it? That one for now Glasgow to wherever and King's Crossing. Yeah, it's within an hour of being in London, stopped with the police.
Yeah, welcome.
But I did, to be fair, I did look about 14.
Right.
No, I don't think I'd actually properly shaved.
They were right
I was
to
19.
question.
Yeah, they were right. And hopefully they'll stop a lot more youngsters that are young getting down the route of being homeless if they can grab them and get them home safely.
Right. Yeah. Look, I could sit here and chat to you all day, to be honest. I love your stories.
We'll bring the whiskey out.
Yeah, indeed. We'll do that another day, but maybe not have the microphone on for that one. No, massively appreciate your time.
Pleasure.
I really love this place, Scottish roots, right? I mean, can't take the boy out. Well, you can take the boy out of Scotland or something like that. Wish you guys all the very best with the next phase of
Thank you.
Your evolution, whatever that might look like. Yeah. And I'm sure I will see you around at future events.
Yep, certainly will. Thank you very much, Phil. Thanks for coming in.
My pleasure.
Thanks for putting up with me.
Cheers, John.
No problem, pal.
And there we have it. It was so good to get some time with John at the Caledonian Club itself, and as I said at the beginning, his journey is an absolute lesson to us all around the power of principle. A huge thank you to John and his team for his wonderful hospitality on the day. We will of course be back next Wednesday with another amazing story from hospitality, so until then, have an awesome week, and I'll see you then.